I run it. Everything you wanna do, I already done it. And I got your little boo telling me she love me. I got this one, that one. Damn, it's gonna be a long night.
Hello guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of This, and I am back here with What If Asta was Itachi's reincarnation. And before I begin, I would like to say, glad to be back with this one because I took too long to post it. I know y'all been craving for the next part, so here it is. Funny thing, I actually forgot to re-record my intro into this video, and I deleted the last one because it sucked and I was rushing too much. So, just wanted to say that because I feel like it just needed to be said. But yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, do all of that, and let's begin with the recap. Also, not gonna lie, what I'm gonna do in this episode is a bit insane. Like, I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna make some ridiculous ass choices, but I find it to be pretty like me. So nothing out of the ordinary, you know. All right, let's go. So we last started with Asta going to the witch's forest with Magna, Finro, and Noelle. Vanessa would have come, but she felt bizarre about going back home. At first, they were not welcome, but the queen personally teleported them over to her castle with her crows, as she and Asta were negotiating the Eye of the Midnight Sun and the Diamond Kingdom attack. So the queen promises to give the stone over to Asta if he can protect her kingdom, and he does, sending out his clones to stop the forces. One of his clones ends up facing Fauna, and it asks why the elves are doing what they're doing, but before he gets an answer, they are interrupted by a power-hungry Ladros, chasing down Kruger and Mars. Ladros got a power-up from touching one of Asta's clones, and using that, he almost kills the two, which starts to bring back the real Fauna, but the real Asta shows up and almost kills him, but Mars stops him, so he doesn't kill him, and gives Ladros back to Kruger. At this moment, Fauna then truly becomes herself, and would hug Mars just as the Black Bulls arrive with Vanessa, who decided to join the expedition after all. She apologizes for insulting Asta, who says it's okay. Then the Witch Queen comes trying to take control of Asta using magic she put on the magic stones, which she does actually hand to him. But he puts her in a genjutsu, warning her against coming near Vanessa and ever trying to control him ever again. While she was warned, Asta and the others already left, and Asta asks Vanessa if she can join the squad, but she declines, so he moves on. And when the festival comes, he meets Kahono and Kiyato, who he asks to join, and they actually do. After this, the rankings and the identity of the Guardian is revealed, and the Black Bulls get third place in the rankings, of course, and Asta has to show some proof, but they do eventually believe him, and the fact that the Black Bulls could ever get such a ranking, because if a commoner like Asta can do it, then why can't they? And then the king ends up showing up, even though he doesn't have much of a presence, and would announce the Royal Magic Knights, who would be attacking the Eye of the Midnight Sun. Asta and Yuno then leave backstage and end up meeting Merliona, scolding the Crimson Knights before going at her side. Seeing him, Merliona asks him for help in training, and he does, as when they reach the Grand Zone, Asta uses his ability to copy magic to create magic stairs that test everyone's magical prowess and help them excel. After training, they do well at the Royal Knight exam, actually really well, and most of them pass. Meanwhile, Asta welcomes Kiyato, Kahono, and Zora to his base, and while Zora was suspicious at first, he comes to be fine with it and finds Asta interesting. On the day of the attack, when they were going to attack the Eye of the Midnight Sun, everyone shows up, including Asta's squad, and Zora was of course late, but he does make it nonetheless. Also, the robe everyone has on is enhanced by magic, by Asta obviously, that will substitute them to his base if they get too hurt. We actually begin with everyone already entering the Gravito Belt and, the Grand Zone of Magic, and Asta and his squad enter in as a group. As they run down the hallway, they are met by some hooded mages, but moving swiftly, Kiyato appears right behind them in the blink of an eye, and with his blades out, they would explode with cuts. Whew, all that training did me good, he would say. As the assailants fall over, we then cut to Licht, or should I say Paltry, as he looks to the resting body of their true leader. I've lost too much. Even if I went out on myself, he'd corner me easily. There's only one way left. Wish me luck. Standing on the platform holding some of the stones they have, he closes his eyes and starts to use something he should have never had to, and a third eye forms on his forehead. Below him, a magic circle forms and it starts to shine as Paltry says, "Alright then." But before he can do anything more, he is knocked out by the hilt of Asta's katana striking his neck, and in the same instance, Asta stares down the magic circle being formed and analyzes it in seconds before then landing down and touching it. Using his yin-yang release for the first time in this role, he effectively shatters the circle, ending the spell as it would fade away, and Paltry's body would fall over. As he hits the ground, Kahono, Kiyato, and Zora then fly in, as Kiyato would then say, "Hey Captain," and he lands down with the others, and Zora would say, "What's the point of having a squad if you're just gonna take care of everything?" Asta would laugh, apologizing, but this is when they are blinded by a light that would hit them. As they look at Paltrig, and his body starts to, of course, shine and then crack, and it leaves behind the scarred face of the Magic Knight captain, the captain of the Golden Dawn, Vengeance. This is absolutely shocking to them, but Asta is more intrigued than shocked, as he cannot believe what his Sharingan were telling him right now. Soul magic, he would say. With these words, he then picks up Vengeance, and he then says, "Our job here is done." Wait, isn't this a bit too easy though? What was the spell he was setting up, Kawano would ask. And Asta thought the same, actually, and was now thinking that there was something wrong, so he took another look at the stones and the floating body of the elf. Slowly, he encircles the platform and now knew there was something wrong, but he just couldn't put his finger on it. Out of nowhere, a laugh is then heard, with Asta jumping back and telling the squad to do the same, and the body of Lake is then surrounded and eaten by some strange goop that explodes out of a much darker magic circle. This liquid then reforms and takes the form of a laughing Zagrid. A sudden pressure hits the group and everyone else in the entire zone of magic, and they feel a huge amount of gritty, inordinate, and creepy magic. Well, looks like they can get to the next stage, Zagrid would say. What a disappointment. Fucking devil, Zoro would say. Correct. Humans still haven't forgotten about their masters. That's good. "And are you one of us?" he says as he looks to Asta, who says, "Please don't insult me. All of you, leave right now. The mission's over." He throws Paltry over to Kihato, who catches him and would be confused, as Zoro would say, "Have you lost your mind, kid?" And Kawan would say, "Asta, he's just on a completely different level. Let's just leave." "It's Captain to you, and I told you, this mission is over." Zagrid would laugh at this, thinking these words were full of arrogance and unearned confidence. To him, Asta had enough magic to already rival a low-level devil, but he was nothing compared to himself. Well, that's what he thought until Asta unleashed a huge amount of mana, surpassing even his own. "Leave. That's an order." Seeing Asta can handle this and he's being serious, they would just be holding him back. They then leave instantly and start to fly away, just as Zagrid then yells to stop, and a wave of magic hits the squad, freezing them. "I'll admit, you're very powerful, but when it comes down to the fight, magic attribute is what matters. Mere humans are nothing in the presence of my power." Asta doesn't even look fazed by these words, however, as he then opens his mouth and he says, "Go," copying the magic of the devil, and in an instant he frees his subordinates, and while they are confused, the three then start running away as Zagrid is left completely angered. He waits for the humans to be far enough and he then asks, "What are you?" However, Asta lets his flames do the talking, as he would stare down Zagrid and he peers through him until his heart becomes exposed and it is hit by a heat wave before exploding with dark flames. Zagrid would spew blood before falling over, covered in flames that corrode and burn his body. "What the hell is this magic?" He would clench onto his fist in confusion, but the flames then just attach to his hands and would explode, and anger, complete fear overtakes him. This isn't like any pain he's felt before. The flames just won't stop growing. "Stop. Cancel. Extinguish. Why won't it work?" Asta simply looks at him and he would die out, as Asta would be thinking, "I didn't get to use it at all. Well, I guess even devils can't handle my magic." As he thinks this, Zagrid then dies out and completely fades to nothing, leaving behind only his lingering screams. Silence then sets in, and Asta walks over to the magic stone set in the ground, and he would pick them up before then putting them in his pouch. Sorry about that. And he would say, "No need to worry. I have an idea, but you'll have to wait a bit." The presence of this otherworldly being that everyone felt was then overshadowed by Asta before the creature was then completely obliterated in seconds, which sent chills down everyone's spine. "What that's going on?" Ozal said. Well, he was being accompanied by Noel, Magna, and Luck. "Well, it's Asta," Magna would say. "Nothing could ever beat that guy. Not that it wasn't creepy." "This doesn't feel right," Nozel would think. We then fade to black, and the Royal Knights exit the Gravito Belt much later, having completely obliterated the Eye of the Midnight Sun, but everyone else was feeling it, this feeling of uncertainty. As they wait for the Ambu Squad Magic Knight to come up, they appear before them in a puff of smoke. "Alright then," Asta would say, "don't worry. The terrorists have been eliminated." "What was that presence we felt then?" Fuegon would ask. Asta then says, "Well, that was something only captains and the Wizard King can hear about." The tone of Asta changes, so everyone understands this is something very important, only meant for the higher-ups. "All of you, return to the kingdom. We'll meet up with you along the way." The knights then nod and begin to leave, as Yuno would then wave goodbye to Asta, who does the same. And while he heads off, though, he asks Belle if she ever felt anything like that before. "I'll tell you later," Belle would say. "Saying it here wouldn't exactly be ideal. Just what did Asta fight, thinks." Meanwhile, Nozel looks to Asta's members, asking if they were still gonna stay here, telling them to leave, of course. When Asta says, "Please don't order my people around," he would stare him down as Nozel would begin to sweat profusely. He says, "Are you truly gonna keep them around?" They have to know because this is our jurisdiction. Now, don't be alarmed, okay? Look into my eyes. He activates his Sharingan, but the captain's staring into them, and they are swallowed into a Genjutsu, as when they open their eyes again, they end up in a memory together. Look, it's the leader, Marilyn would say, as before them they see Paltry activating a spell, and the captains wait to see what Asta wanted to show them. They see him arrive and knock him out, as well as cancel the spell, and Fulan would then say fast as usual. But what the? It can't be. The captains become wide-eyed as they see Paltry fade away, revealing vengeance, and they are filled with nothing but anger to the brim. And as they appear back in the real world, they would slightly stumble, as Nozel would ask, "That traitor, where is he?" Asta brings out a branch and sets it down before making a hand sign, as it would poof, turning into a knocked out vengeance. And Asta would say, "I'm sure he has his reasons." "What reason could he possibly have?" Nozel exclaims, as Kahuna would say, "Well, he could have been brainwashed or something, right? Isn't that a possibility?" Nozel can't deny that, but he just hates that they had a traitor in their midst and they just didn't even notice. Vengeance then turns back to a branch, which Asta puts away, saying that they need to have a serious meeting. I have an idea who would say. As we then go to the Clover Capital, a few hours later, I'll say, well, the captains are present, and of course, Julius is there, as well as Marx, and Asta is standing before them. Asta looks around before then clapping his hands, and the captain of the Coral Peacocks would wake up, much to everyone's surprise, as she is always sleeping. Dorothy then looks to Asta nervously as he would show a terrifying smile, saying, "I would appreciate it if we could all be present." "Wow, I've never seen you so serious before," Julius would say, and Asta would say, "That's because this is a serious matter. First off, for those of you who have not been told, elves are real as devils are, and this is the one I fought." He would poof, and as the smoke clears, the group stare down the form of Zagreus and are left completely terrified to the point where they almost attack, but Asta would say, "Calm down, it's still me, it's just a transformation, not that I can't understand your worry." He then turns back to normal and would say that now they will have to do some extreme digging, and he goes into extreme detail about what he thinks has been going on. It takes approximately an hour for him to explain everything, and once he's done, the captains realize that this means that a much bigger war will soon come. The Spade Kingdom, of course. It was the most obvious choice, Dorothy would say, as she would facepalm, and Yami would say, "Why the hell do they want me and Scarface, though? You possess very unique types of magic that can open the door to the world of devils," Asta would say. "Then what about you?" Marx would ask. "I mean, this really doesn't have anything to do with me." "Yeah, I highly doubt that," they all think, as Asta then says being powerful is not really an automatic draw to things like devils right now, because this is more about their freedom. "But that is why I have devised a plan. Ironically enough, it means that we have to bring them back." He takes out a scroll and would let it set down before rolling it out until it reaches Julius all across the table, and all the captains get a look at it, as Julius would ask, "Bring who?" "Oh, yeah, this is insane," Jack would say. "Strange and unneeded," Merlin would say. "Why would we bring back our enemies?" "Because they have the same goals as us. Besides, it's still doable. I just need some certain equipment." How is this even gonna work, though?" Julius would ask. "They don't have elf bodies to come back to." "They will. Just leave it to me," Asta would say. "I'm just wondering why you would show us any of this," Charlotte would say. "You don't know if any of us could be a traitor?" "I adjusted my Sharingan to see any type of magic like that from now on, so you don't have to worry." "How does that even work?" they would all think, as they have a look of dumbfoundedness, and Asta would say, "Oh, by the way, if the House of Kira comes looking for me, give him this. I have to leave right now." He then throws another scroll to Julius, which he catches before then telling him not to open it yet. But tell me the face he makes when he sees it. "Come on, guys." His squad then gets up and follows him, and they leave as the captains and Julius get to talk like they never have before. As the Umbu squad walks the halls, however, Zora would then ask what they're supposed to do now, and Asta says, "Just in case, we're gonna need some extra help. You guys are going on your first group mission without me. You ready?" "We won't let you down, sir," Kyoto would say, and Asta says, "Good, because it's not gonna be easy." The next day, the Umbu squad nears the the Heart Kingdom, on a boat, and as they arrive, they have Mimosa accompanying them, and Kyoto would say, "Damn, the Heart Kingdom's amazing. So you've been here before?" Kawana would ask, and she says this to Mimosa, who then answers, "Yeah, it's been a long time ago, but things haven't changed much. Not that it doesn't still look beautiful." "Hey, stop talking so much," Zora would say. "Where do we dock?" "I can tell you where." This surprised group obviously turns to see Gaja land on their ship, and Mimosa then recognizes him and her, and Gaja would say, "We received your message. I am Gaja, the leader of the Spirit Guardians, sent to help you. It's good to see you again, Miss Mimosa." "I'm glad you still remember me," she would say, as Gaja then slowly inspects the Ambu squad and finds that while they are not Arcane Stage or Stage 1 in mana level, they are brimming with mana in general, and they have huge potential. "Can you hurry it up?" Zora would say in a quite annoyed tone, as Kahono and Kyoto have to calm him down, with Gaja apologizing for holding him up, and so he says to look forward. And as they turn, they see a flight of stairs made of water form, and slowly they will be carried up and start to rise to the castle of the queen over the kingdom. Her magic's almost as strong as Asta's, Kaona would say, and Gaja would think, almost? Along the way, the scenery of the kingdom, flowers, wonderful statues, and new types of animals are shown to them. They also see citizens who walk about having fun while waving to them, and Zora would scowl at them, although unintentionally, while everyone else is just being kind. And Zora would be thinking, to give me so much responsibility. We then have a flashback to hours ago. We see why Zora would be so annoyed right now and more cranky than usual as he stands before Asta, who would slide him a weapon. "You're giving this to me?" Zora would ask. "It's my gift to you as vice captain." Zora is surprised to hear this as he asks since when he became his vice captain, but Asta doesn't answer, instead saying, "Take it. They might be strong, but they don't have as much experience as you do. So you're just giving me all the work," he would say. We then return to the present as well as Zora contemplates on that moment. Gaja would say, "As you can see, this country is still in harmony, but for it to stay that way, we need to be ready. You need to be tested, because we need strong mages." In that instant, the group feels him release bloodlust as he brings out his grimoire, with Kyoto instantly attacking with his swords, his daggers, but Gaja would disappear and appear far away from their ship while flying, and he starts to gather his runes. "Show me what you're made of," he would say, as his runes would release a destructive ray of lightning towards the group, but in a split second, Zora appears before everyone, holding up something just as the attack then hits, and a massive explosion occurs. Gaja would wait to see what happened, and becomes wide-eyed as when the smoke clears, it shows that not only does Zora block his attack with a shield, but that shield had a combination of rune magic along with his own type of magic mixed in with it. The others are left impressed by this as Zora would then hold his shield to the side. "Can you try that again? Sorry, I didn't feel much." This puts a smile on the Guardian's face as Zora then tells Kahuna and Kyoto to get ready. "I ain't just gonna take care of your shrimps. We didn't just go through all that harsh training for nothing," Kahuna would say as she begins to sing, gathering some intense mana, and Kyoto pulls back his blades, doing the same. "I hope you understand, we need strong allies. So try not to die," Gaja would say. As their fight begins, however, hours and hours pass. I'm not going to cover this. Hours and hours pass, and we go to the Clover Kingdom, where Asta, Marks, and Julius are working on Asta's plans in the interrogation basement, I guess you could say, and they are gathered around a table, looking over his plans and just discussing things. "Do you need organic material?" Julius would ask, and Asta would say, "Just the stones. We obviously can't make them inhabit the body of someone else, but the stones will do that for them, and along with my clones." Marks would then go to say, "But don't..." Oh. He then notices his magical device going off and takes it out as it would pop up a huge hologram of little Petrica and her entire throne room as her spirit would stand behind her, of course that being Undine. "Ah, they succeeded," Julius would say, as little Petrica would then say, "Good to meet you, Sir Julius, and... Guardian? Call me Asta," Asta would say. He then looks around to see his squad, and he sees that they're averting their gaze. Even the usually arrogant Zora is doing the same, and Asta would smile. "I'm quintupling your training." This startles them as Zora would then yell, "What the hell, man?" "It's Captain," Asta would say with a smile, and this sends a chill down their spines, and Undine would say he's very strict for a young child. "I've had to grow up very fast, don't worry about it." "You called for an alliance, correct? I think we should leave you alone, right, Mark-sensei?" And this is when they would both the rulers would say, "No, you just stay here." Lord Petrica would then say that he is needed the most. "You're most definitely the most powerful mage in your kingdom. I felt the energy of a devil, but you defeated it, didn't you?" Asta is surprised as she realizes and says, "I'll do my best." "Then that's all we need, right?" Julius would say. "Our alliance is formed, unless anyone has objections, of course." Everyone stays quiet as Lil Petrica, however, says that they have a deadline of 6 months. "I was waiting to talk about this later, but I've incurred a curse. 6 months is all I have left before it eats me entirely." This sours the mood as Undine feels bad for her friend, or more so host, and Lil Petrica notices and feels bad, but also says, "Don't worry, that's more than enough time. If you're gonna put so much trust in me, then I'll just make this go perfectly." Time skip 6 months. The war between the kingdoms has begun, as by this point the Dark Triad has already taken over most of the Diamond Kingdom, and the Spade Kingdom now completely is at the mercy of their tyranny. We go find a walking fortress, keeping some Spade Kingdom citizens trapped in it, as they would be robbed of their mana just to power the fortress. As the devil-possessed soldiers watch their sacrifices lose mana too quickly, however, they become annoyed. "Damn, these low-tier people are so weak. It does not matter. Children, women, men, we will wring out their magic from them. Every last one of them." As one of the members says this, however, all of their vision start to warp as everything goes red, and we find out what is really going on as the saved citizens watch in awe, and the men simply stand straight with their eyes blank as Asta has put them in the genjutsu. He turns and faces everyone with a smile, saying, "Sorry I'm late. Thank you so much, they would be. Are you with the Clover Kingdom? Indeed I am, Asta would say. Let's get out of here. Licht? They now shatter a window of the fortress, then allows Licht to fly in, a reanimated version of him, but the leader of the elves nonetheless, as he then lands inside, making people see a real-life elf, which leaves them amazed. Is it time for extermination? Licht would ask. Yes, Asta would say, but I'll be taking care of that this time. Please bring them back to safety. Walking down the hall deeper and deeper into the chambers of the fortress, Asta goes while Licht gathers everyone to leave. As he prepares to leave, however, a kid would tug onto his robe as he would ask him, "Are you an elf?" Licht looks down at the child and smiles, saying, "Yeah, I am. You're going to the Clover Kingdom, okay? So stay close to your sister and don't let go. Oh, and close your eyes. That goes for everyone." The child would nod as he would hold on to his sister, who would do the same, and they would both close their eyes, and everyone does the same. Lick would then take out a parchment, which he would put on the floor and run his magic through, and instantly, a magic circle forms as it would explode with light and flashes the entire room, and when the flash passes, they are all gone. When the group can feel solid ground below their feet once again, they'll open their eyes to see Licht walk out to say hi to Lumiere, the former Wizard King, now fully reanimated, and they are left in shock. What's going on here? We're really in the Clover Kingdom? As they look around, they find things on high alert as they are currently in front of the Clover Castle where most groups of people arrive with magic much like them who were being trapped in fortresses, and they were quickly taken inside the castle to be helped and settled down, and some people are helping out as much as they can even if they're not knights, and mages will be flying about in the sky, and demands are being given left and right. And now I will explain what the fuck is going on, since you clearly must be asking how all this connects. Not that you don't know how this is possible. So, at the beginning of the alliance, the first thing Asta did was to not only finish up mechanical sort of bodies to embody the souls of the elves, but also bring them back using his own reanimation jutsu of sorts. It's his own creation. He used the mana stones to give the elves real bodies, so they have transformed from metal or mechanical. It's not really metal, it's made out of wood, but now they have flesh and bones, hearts, brains. They are full beings. After being brought back, Asta filled them in about the devil manipulation, and since Licht himself was there, he could confirm it, and at that point Nera also showed herself and took Asta to the statue where he reanimated the now alive, technically, Wizard King. And the elves were shown to the entire kingdom, and a declaration was made. Lumiere is on a timeline of... He has only a year to stay alive, because him staying for any longer would disrupt the balance of the world itself to bring back someone who was supposed to be dead. And during that time, he and the elves were gonna remake how do I say, they're gonna remake the homes of the elves in a certain way. I don't know how to explain everything, but you get what I'm trying to say. If you read the manga, they're at a new place and they have this weird spirit taking care of them or something. They're gonna do something like that, and they will of course help them defeat the Spade Kingdom. And while Asta did of course try to hide his actions, it was inevitable. So now his title is not the Guardian. He was known as the Magus. I don't know if you know what that is, but search it up. It's usually something that always shows up in like isekai stuff. It's just like an OP sorcerer. Not that that's what the actual meaning is, but I'll be using that here since he's now referred to as a master of all types of magic he has only seen once. And so he surpasses the existence of even people like the first Wizard King. He's just too influential. And even with his age, it's just impressive. With this, more people came to his Ambu squad and were trained by the vice captain himself, Zora Ideal, and now a full army of Ambu members were at Asta's hands. They were taught specific techniques using rune magic, which Gaja helped Asta make better, and that was what Lick used to teleport the people. There is a parchment to teleport, one to cause a massive explosion, one for smoke bombs, and one to trap enemies. Many more, but I will not talk about that here. People also trained using the same method that the Crimson Knights were being taught, they're using the stairs, sort of. They're just being manipulated by magic while trying to regain control. And if anyone is consistently trained with the Ambu squad at all, they were at least second stage mages in the Heart Kingdom system. And if you were people like and Asta or the elves or the Yami, you are first stage or arcane or just out of the ordinary. And some new members have joined the group, of course, and one of them is Nero, and the other one is someone that people are still not used to. Even though his identity is public, he is an outlier of sorts. As he walks down the hallway of the fortress, the ground begins to rumble as an entire army runs out towards him, and they activate their magic using the power of their devils because they are aware of who stands before them. But they do not fret because they have numbers. Becoming more monstrous and honestly terrifying, they would attack with incredible force, seeming more devil than human now. Let's see what the Magus can do, huh? As they attack, however, in an instant, their misshapen forms fade as they all crash to the ground and become confused. In their confusion, they look up and stare into the eyes of Asta and have their bodies lit on fire, with Asta walking past them while they slowly die out and scream. In that instance is when Libe would form behind Asta, taking the form of a sort of astral spirit. How the hell did Lichita end up with the son like you? I'm a busy man, and they're psychopaths. We don't have time to talk. Then why don't you use that, Libe would ask. Asta thinks about it and shrugs her shoulders, and from outside, the fortress we see then explodes with multiple slashes of black flames, and it would just be destroyed, leaving everything in ruins, while Asta flies out with his hands lit in the blaze by Amaterasu. Fire Magic Eternal Series. Kagutsuchi. Isn't that like the 10th one, Libe would ask, as he's a bit baffled, and Asta would say, 15th, my clones just destroyed the others. I think it's time we return now. We already finished our objective. Now, all that's left is to beat those three. He blasts off towards the Clover Kingdom, and there we find Yuno being now the vice captain of the Golden Dawn, who was respected by everyone, told by Klaus that he was being called to Hodge Village. Yuno would turn to face his comrade and smile. Sounds important. Don't worry, Klaus would say, we have Soraya with us, so we can hang on if anything turns up. Belle, however, will be annoyed as she says, man, Yuno's already really busy. Yuno, however, says it's fine because he's been meaning to visit anyway. Meanwhile, at the hideout of the Ambu squad, we find that it has become far bigger, now housing the greatest force of the Clover Kingdom. Arriving at the entrance of the base, two random members have the door opened for them automatically, and they enter to see the rowdy building filled with many of their now brethren, and the area resembled a lounge, having a bar, some couches to sit on, a quest board, or mission board, I'm not going to say quest, this is not fairy tale, where daily missions were put up by Nero, who would put them up there, obviously. Why am I saying that? So you just go and gain prestige for yourself. You make a little group of 4. Obviously, I'm making a Naruto reference here, and you do a squad, and you go gain some, some fame. You do that, and you also gain stars for the squad. And there's also a receptionist desk where someone worked and made sure you were appropriate enough, like you had enough strength to take on a mission, so nothing bad would happen. And while things are tense, like everyone is working, everyone is having a good time as well. That is until it is as if a earthquake hits them and everyone falls to the floor instantly as Zora runs out with Kyato, and he would tell everyone to stay calm, and as the two run outside and take a step, instantly they fall to the ground and are forced down by gravity magic, as a flying Dante will smile at them from above. So, it's not letting me do as I please. What an interesting place, he thought. Obviously, Asta put up some magic so he couldn't do any of his bullshit, and Zora, instead of panicking, actually managed to use his mana as he burst with it, and his shield would form, completely reflecting the spell, as Dante finds himself being sent flying back before quickly stopping himself. But then a melody would sting his ears, and he freezes. What interesting magic, Dante would think, as we find Kahona walking out while singing and using her magic while everyone else runs out as well, releasing a flurry of attacks, but in that moment, however, Kahona would spew blood. Kahono! Kyato would yell, as Dante, after forcing the spell off of himself, simply stands there in midair, and the attacks were near him, and they immediately are extinguished by his gravity magic. Quickly noticing Kahono was hurt, some of her juniors tried to heal her, while Nero runs out and places her hand on her throat. Don't worry, I'll stop it. Using her sealing magic, she stops the injury from hurting her fully, while everyone else tries to do their best, and by this point, Zoro and Kyato are already flying up to the devil, and Kyato especially is angered, but using what Asta has taught him, he harnessed that anger to make his blade stronger and his magic more powerful. With continuous combo moves, the two would attack and block Dante's attacks, impressing the host, as Dante would say, they keep calm even when up against someone like me. I heard the Magus is their leader. As he says this, Kyato appears right behind him with a thrust, and Dante would dodge to the side only to get a cut on his cheek, widening his eyes, and in that moment of surprise, Zora appeared above him with an axe kick, sending him flying, cratering to the ground, causing an explosion to occur. Wow, they're really getting to him, they would be saying, as the juniors, the lower rank, they feel very proud of their senpais, obviously. They look cool as hell. Nero, however, starts to feel something sinister and starts to worry, and her worry was correct, as Dante would then go 50% out of anger, releasing the most malicious aura the squad had ever felt. Zora's shield at this point would crack before then shattering to many pieces, and Kyato would say, if that happens, then they are forced to the ground by gravity magic, as Zora's magic shield can no longer absorb the impact of it, like the magic that Dante has been releasing this entire time. He's been absorbing and reflecting it back. And as they crash to the ground, they feel their insides being crushed, and they now spew blood, and the other members fly over to help as Nero tells them to stop, but they become frozen mid-air before then getting pierced by many earth daggers, causing Zora and Kyato and Nero to scream in complete anger. Quiet down, Dante would say. How dare you mark me? Let me show you what real power is. As his magic begins to rise, however, everything goes red and he is stunted but recognizes what this is. They say when he arrives, you will experience something like this. What the? He starts looking at his hand and sees it is shaking uncontrollably, and he does not understand this feeling that is overtaking him. In that moment, his usual vision then returns before he then sees not Kyoto or Zora pinned to the ground before him, as it is Asta looking straight at him. Zora and Kyoto find themselves out of the crater out on the ground, breathing heavily, as Zora would then yell, "What the hell took you so long, Cap?" As Zora yells this, Dante is sent flying towards the sky out of the crater, blowing away a whole cloud formation before Austin appears before him with 20 strikes to his stomach. Kagutsuchi. The host would explode with black flames before Asta would axe kick him to the ground, and as he begins to fall, he realizes that this is not his day. This magic isn't ordinary. It's much like a devil's. Give me more power, Lucifero. As he is about to enter his next form, however, something just stabs him through the back as he spews blood, and as he looks down, there is something obsidian sticking out of his stomach. He starts to fall like a comet until he eventually hits the ground, feeling weak, and Asta lands right by him. You took pretty good care of my underlings, didn't you? Asta would say, as his eyes take the form of the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Welcome to the end of the video. I check out my earphones right there. Headphones, same thing. Doesn't matter. I hope you guys enjoyed this part. Took a bit long to come up with the 5th part of the series you guys like the most on this channel by this point probably. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm assuming you enjoyed it. Please enjoy it. And also hit that like button. I can't make you enjoy this, but I'm assuming that you did. Alright. I'm not an egotistical motherfucker. I'm just trying to say that I'm awesome. Anyway, point being, I hope you're having a good day. This actually took really long to record, which is really annoying because it really shouldn't be. This script is like super short. That's pretty much all I have to say. I have nothing else to tell you today. I'm doing good, everything good. I hope you guys are doing good. Tell me down below if you're doing good. If you're not, well, we can talk about it. And if you have anything else to say that is anime related, we can argue about that in the comments because I ain't gonna lose. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Alright? Alright. I will see you guys in the next video. Stay safe. If you have COVID, stay home. Peace.